Africa is one of the richest continents in the world, yet its people remain some of the poorest. Why? Not only because of colonial scars, but because of a stubborn, self-inflicted foolishness, a refusal by leaders and citizens alike to rise above ethnic rivalry, religious manipulation and political corruption. Colonial powers sowed division. Yes, they carved borders without reason, pitted groups against each other and built puppet states. But decades after independence, why do African politicians, religious leaders and ordinary citizens still dance to the same destructive tune? Country by country, the curse of ethnic politics. Nigeria. Since independence in 1960, politics has been defined by Hausa Fulani, Yoruba and Igbo rivalry. The Biafra War, 1967-1970, killed over 1 million. Today, elections are tribal censuses. Vote for your son is the chant, not vote for competence. The Niger Delta burns with militancy, the Middle Belt bleeds from herder-farmer clashes, and the Southeast flirts with separatism. Politicians enrich themselves through inflated contracts, delivering shoddy infrastructure while communities rot. Rwanda and Burundi. In 1994, Hutu extremists in Rwanda murdered nearly 1 million Tutsi and moderate Hutu in 100 days, proving how ethnic propaganda can blind a whole nation. In Burundi, repeated Hutu-Tutsi cycles of violence and coups cripple development. The foolishness. Elites stoking ancient rivalries for power, while the masses pay in blood. Sudan and South Sudan, Sudan's Arab-African divide fueled the Darfur genocide and decades of war. South Sudan, born in 2011 with so much hope, collapsed into civil war within 2 years. Dinka versus Nuer rivalry tearing the new nation apart. Instead of schools and hospitals, leaders bought guns and mansions abroad. Ethiopia ethnic federalism turned Ethiopia into a ticking time bomb. Amhara, Oromo and Tigrayan elites compete for supremacy. The Tigray War of 2020-2022 left millions starving. Instead of building unity, politicians sharpened knives of division. Kenya, in 2007-2008, disputed elections led to tribal violence that killed 1,100 and displaced 600,000. Kikuyu versus Luo versus Kalenjin rivalry turned neighbours into enemies. Every election cycle remains a dangerous ethnic contest. Côte d'Ivoire. The poisonous doctrine of Ivoirite divided North and South, fueling rebellion and civil war. In 2010, President Laurent Gbagbo refused to step down, and ethnic militias butchered civilians in the streets. Somalia. Here, clan rivalry destroyed the state. Since 1991, Somalia has been a broken shell, with warlords and Al-Shabaab exploiting clan loyalties. Citizens live under lawless militias, while politicians steal donor money. Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, one of the most mineral-rich nations on earth, yet ethnic militias backed by foreign interests control large parts of the east. The government, corrupt and weak, plays factions against each other while billions in mineral wealth vanish. Others, from Mali's Tuareg rebellions to Cameroon's Anglophone crisis, the story repeats. Artificial borders become excuses for division, and politicians exploit ethnic fault lines rather than fix them. The role of religion in the decay. If politicians are guilty, so too are Africa's pastors and imams. They are supposed to be the conscience of society, but many have become partners in corruption. They lie to their followers, preaching submission instead of courage, false prosperity instead of responsibility. They accept bribes from politicians, mobilizing congregations as voting blocs. In election season, pulpits become campaign stages. They encourage passivity. Pray for change, they say, but never stand up against oppression. They sell trinkets, mantles, stickers, combs and holy water as protection while hiding behind armed police. They emphasize tithing over taxation, teaching citizens to enrich churches instead of funding schools and hospitals. Instead of waking people from slumber, they keep them asleep. They are as guilty as the politicians. The folly of ordinary Africans. Most tragic of all is the complicity of the ordinary citizen. Too many Africans vote tribe, not competence, fast and pray for 100 days instead of improving their businesses or demanding accountability. Cheer when their son wins, even if he is corrupt. Embrace corruption when it benefits them, then curse it when it doesn't. The same African who bribes a policeman in Lagos will obey every traffic rule in London. The same citizen who dumps waste in the street in Kinshasa will recycle in Brussels. This reveals the bitter truth. Africa's problem is not environment, but mindset, a cultivated stupidity that refuses to change. Colonial strings and puppet governments. The West cannot be exonerated. They left Africa divided and they still exploit it. They fund puppet governments, back one ethnic faction against another, and plunder minerals through unfair contracts. France props up leaders in West Africa. Western oil giants strike deals in Nigeria and Angola. China now buys loyalty with loans. But here is the shame. African leaders are cheap. They sell whole nations for offshore bank accounts and a seat at international banquets. They let foreign companies loot billions while their citizens beg for food. The colonialists do not need to rule directly anymore. The puppets in power do the job. Lessons from Asia and the Middle East look eastward. India, China, Bangladesh, Taiwan, Thailand, the Arab nations, they all faced colonialism, diversity and poverty, yet they put progress in their own hands. They invested in education, industry, infrastructure. They did not pray their way into development. They planned, worked and fought corruption. Meanwhile, Africa, with greater resources, continues to wound itself through tribal hatred, bad governance and religious manipulation. The way forward? Simple solutions. 1. End tribal politics. Citizenship must matter more than ethnicity. Constitutions must enforce merit-based appointments. 2. Hold leaders accountable. Citizens must reject corrupt politicians even if they share their tribe. 3. Reform religion. Churches and mosques must preach responsibility, not magic. Tithing should not replace taxation. 4. Strengthen institutions. Courts, parliaments and security agencies must be independent from ethnic capture. 5. Value education and productivity. Africans must focus on science, business and innovation, not endless prayer campaigns. 6. Regional integration. Like the EU, Africa must strengthen bodies like the African Union and ECOWAS to reduce fragmentation. 7. Cultural awakening. Citizens must learn that conscience is greater than tribe and that God does not bless laziness. Africa's wounds are not only colonial, they are self-inflicted. Politicians inflate contracts and deliver garbage infrastructure. Pastors and imams trade pulpits for power. Citizens refuse to use their conscience. The West will keep exploiting Africa as long as Africans remain divided, foolish and easily bought. It is time for Africa to wake up. Not with 100 days of fasting, not with stickers and mantles, but with unity, accountability and work. The future is not in prayers alone, it is in courage, conscience and collective action. Until then, Africa's greatest enemy will remain Africa itself.